Alrighty, good morning, good afternoon. Hope you're all well. Hope you did well on the non-farm payrolls, non-farm employment change. Hey Nav, good morning. Hey Joe Marinas, how are you doing? I think you guys can see me okay, can hear me all right. Any issues, let me know. Alrighty, yep, seems to be working fine. Okay. Okay, so yes, if you are new to the session, do drop a message and say hi, let me know where you're joining us from. It is the 10th of June. We just had the non-farm employment change number released for the US on Friday last week. We'll break that down. We had massive moves right across the board as we saw the dollar index strengthened massively. Gold had a big reversal. Pretty much all the currency pairs had a big reversal. I hope you all traded well. I hope you all traded profitably. Do put it into the chat and let me know how you went. Hey Jimmy, how are you doing? And for all the regulars I'm seeing here, welcome back. Thank you again for joining me on this session. If you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know. And you can also help me out by clicking that like and subscribe button as we go through the session. All right. A quick disclaimer, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. Please do your own due diligence, as the contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, as your objectives, financial situation and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Now take that away. That's my euro. I was well, I made that euro trade, and then that was a continuation to the downside. Share that on Discord with you guys. But first, what has happened since the last time we spoke? Suddenly I feel like I'm losing my voice. Okay, what has happened since the last time we spoke? Good morning, Angel Case. How are you doing? Happy New Week. The US non-farm employment change number, it was being released on Friday. It was a 175K, got revised down to 165, expected 182. I think none of us, or maybe very few of us, would have expected this, as it got released at 272K. I think we were talking about this being around that 160, 150 level. We were on Friday thinking that, we were looking for a weak NFP data, but what came about was a 272. So very strong number there. And although the unemployment rate for the US climbed slightly from a 3.9 to a 4, did not have that big an impact. That big number was still, the big number still had a bigger impact, and average hourly earnings went from a 0.2 to a 0.4. So we're expecting it to stay around 0.2, 0.3. Wage inflation climbing to 0.4, which again contributes, or is likely to contribute to the idea that inflation overall in the US is still a bit sticky, not willing to get to its target level of 2 to 3% right now, right? So because of that, again, that would push back the timing for further, push back the timing for the Fed Reserve to cut rates. Although from last week we had the Bank of Canada cut rates, we had the ECB cut rates, all eyes was down to the US, and it seems like the 12th of June in the next meeting, I'll show you that, right? The 12th of June at the next meeting is likely, oops, when that loads, doesn't want to load for me today. Okay, right, it's back to that 99.4% chance that they'll keep rates on hold. on hold on the 12th of June at a meeting, also likely to be contributed because of that strong employment number and wage inflation climbing a little bit higher than expected. Together with that, at the same time, we had Canadian unemployment rate climb from 6.1 to 6.2, while employment change came in at 26.7K, did not do too much despite it dropping from, well, last month being at 90, this month being at 26.7. The massive impact came on the dollar index right across the board, right across the board. So it did not factor too much with unemployment rate climbing slightly or the employment change this month going to 26.7 from previous month of 90. What we saw with that news was the dollar index pretty much set. So we're expecting to sit in that consolidation just above that 104 level. And then on release of the news, it just went spike to the upside and then continued higher through today, or through the week, well, not through the weekend, but through the whole session, climbed up and then continued higher, now at 105.25, right? At 105.25, past that previous high that we've seen on the 24th of May and on the 30th of May. It's broken that level, signaling potentially further upside for the dollar index. Right? So anyone got into any trades over the non-farm employment change data release? Do share, let me know how you went. Right? We were thinking that maybe a weak number will see it drop and then continue to push up, but it just spiked right up. With that, good morning, Erwin. How are you doing? Thank you for the audio and visual check. Hey, Sirin, how are you doing? Yes, it is Dumpling Day. I don't know how many people celebrate Dragon Boat Festival, but it's a Chinese tradition on Dragon Boat Festival. The Dragon Boat Festival is a Chinese tradition where you would buy and eat or make dumplings. You know, it's not the leaf folded dumplings, and have that. So yes, anyone who's celebrating Dragon Boat Festival, happy Dumpling Day to you guys as well. Okay. What was I going to say? Okay, so with that news, what happened on Friday with that big spike up on the dollar index? Right, what I did was, as we were speaking about this on Friday, euro dollar sell, I actually had an order for this at 108.80, so got that, caught all the way down. Right as it dropped, I'll show you that. As it dropped right outside of the Bollinger, I was thinking of closing, but because it was such a strong number on the non-farm employment change, I was going to see what happens. It closed, I'll zoom in a bit more. It closed out, it bounced back up, it closed out, and then continued lower. So I actually moved that to break even, and actually lower. I can't move that lower now. I moved that to break even, and then after that I pushed it down to that point. Where was it? 108.50. Right, I pushed it down to 108.50, that right in the middle there, and then I let it run, and it went down to hit my take profit of 70 pips to the downside. Right? Why I pushed it down to break even and then finally to 108.80 to let it run to my to my take profit level, I'll take that away, is because while it was pushing down, I was trading the US yen to the upside, right? As it pushed up, it was just one quick trade as it was pushing. I think it was on M15 time frame. There you go. As it pushed and broke to the upside, I took a quick trade there, and then that was that 30. I had it at, no, I had it up here. Yeah, I had it up to that point there. Move that away. Right, I had it up there, 70 pips, and then I had a 30 pip stop loss here. Then the next moment, got in, pushed up, and then as it got to that point, as it was showing some push back down, I closed out the trade. I closed out at 30 pips on that one. Right, close out halfway about that candle there. Zoom in a bit, at 30 pips. Why? Because generally I was just waiting. Zoom out again. Generally, I was always looking at buying the US yen up, right? We're looking for it to bounce off this level or bounce off the support level. So as it shot up, right, I wanted to catch that small move to the upside and traded it up. So I had the euro dollar 70 pips to the downside, hit that, take profit, managed on the US yen slightly to the upside, 30 pips, not take profit, but 30 pips profit on that. So it was and then I was done. And then I just went, okay, that's it, I'm done. It was a good 100 pip day, 100 plus, I think. I did it one more after that. I think I did a quick scalp on the Aussie or the Kiwi, right? And then, so it was 100 plus profit on that Friday. Super happy, good weekend ahead. Right, so that was my trades. Any trades that you guys got into, let me know. So you can go on to some small US yen and Aussie yen buy trades just now, and now in sell euro. Yes, I have my euro to the downside. I'm looking for that 30 pips down, but if it still fails to break lower because of how it's struggling to break that 1, 2, 3, 4 candles, trying but not really breaking lower, I might close out on that earlier. It is now down to break even, so I'm trying for 30 pips. If it doesn't, then I'll close out. I think right now it's about 18 pips, right? So I'm looking for that 30 to the downside. Okay. Good morning, Neymar. How are you doing? Sorry, my nose is just itching away today. Okay, so now with all that said of what happened for the NFP on Friday, today seems like a little bit of a breather, right? We have the Aussies on a bank holiday because it is the King's birthday. Didn't know that. Don't think we even saw that from last week. I don't think we did a preview of it, right? But today being Monday, let's look into what's the news for the week ahead. We have the Aussies on a bank holiday. We have the Chinese on a bank holiday because it is Dragon Boat Festival. The Dragon Boat Festival, that's why they're on holiday. We had it's not in Queensland. It is banks in some states do not observe this holiday and will remain open. So I guess not in Queensland. Get back to work, Jimmy. Right. We have the Japanese with the data release. Didn't do too much overall, with their GDP number being released at minus 0.5. And we have a whole bunch of news, which not things that I pay massive attention to. Matt just did just posted the Euro, sorry, mine is all over the place, posted the Euro Parliament elections big right-wing swing. Yes, as I was scrolling through that, I saw that news. European parliamentary elections, that was on Sunday. I didn't actually follow this news. Don't know much about the big right-wing swing, but is it going, I might have to read more into that, because is it going to impact the policies of the ECB? Yes, dissolving the National Assembly. Well, that's I'll read more into it. And I'll update you guys on the Discord channel if I find out something interesting. But I might, like what Matt is saying, it's just uncertainty. We'll find out more about that, okay? EU Parliament lurches right, but centre holds. Okay. Might not. Doesn't seem like it's going to impact the euro that much at this point. The DXY is safer, yes. Right, so on to tomorrow, we have claimant count. We have employment numbers come for the UK. Claimant count change 8.9, 10.2, not a big change. Unemployment, unemployment rate at 4.3, average earnings index at 5.7, looking to stay. I don't think this is going to, unless you see a massive swing in the data, I don't think it's going to impact the pound dollar too much at this point. Through to Wednesday, we have GDP number to be released month to month from a 0.4 to a 0. That could bring about some weakness on the pound dollar. Then on to Wednesday, where we have the CPI to be released for the US, 3.4, okay, expected 3.4, expecting CPI to stay at 3.4 in the lead up to the FOMC. The Fed funds rate likely to stay, we just looked at it, likely to stay at 5.5%. I don't think it's going to do too much, but we look at it as it comes up or in the lead up to that. Employment change for the Aussies, not a big change expected there. Core PPI and PPI for the US on Thursday. And then I want to see that. This is the one that I want to be looking out for, the BOJ policy rate. We know that it's most likely going to stay at 0.1, but there is a slight chance that the BOJ could take the policy rate a little bit higher, or during the monetary policy statement introduce some additional measures, maybe even intervene in the currency a little bit, considering that the US yen is back up towards that almost 150, well, it's 157, but almost 158 level again, right? So that one I'm super keen on. And then good news, bad news for everyone is that after this week, it's going to be a small break. You're not going to see my face, you're not going to hear my voice for a week, because after this week, I'm taking a short break, no streams for 1 week. So better treasure this 1 week coming up, okay? Now, with all that said, let's look at the charts. Dollar index, we were looking at the head and shoulder, that didn't play out. Take that away. We saw that spike up, consolidate and spike up, so that's done. Take those away. Now, with that being broken, I don't need that. And that's done as well. Well, these are done. Take that away. Broken that high, that 61.8 is done. I don't need that, but I will keep this point. I'll keep this level here as a bit of a reference point for that previous swing level. Okay, and then also now looking at this, let me just check a couple of levels. From this top down to here, it's right up. Put in that dotted line there. Oops. Put in that dotted line there. It's right up to that 50% level. In fact, I'll take that away for now. Okay, and then we have this next resistance at 105.50, which coincides with that 61.8 retracement level. Okay, so we know this line coincides with that long-term drop on that 50%, and then this resistance level coincides with that 61.8 level. Looking at this, there will possibly Thanks, Naren. Hey, Diana, how are you doing? Looking at this, I'm sure there will be some thought of that the dollar index could retrace to cover, to fill this gap, right? Could retrace to fill this gap along that 105 level, which was a resistance, now turned support. Okay, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking 23.6 is right there. 23.6 is right there. Hey, he had a good break. Nice. I don't see any reason, apart from the technical view or technical idea, that that they could come down to fill the gap, but I don't see any reason for that for dollar index to retrace back down before doing that. Right? I'm actually thinking that it's more likely to sit there in that consolidation before possibly pushing up towards that resistance level. Right? And because it's not doing too much, because there's no major news for today, right? No major news for today. I don't see big moves. Right, through to tomorrow. Yeah, I don't see big moves. Thinking that it could retrace slightly, not all the way down. It's at 105.25 right now. To come back down to 105 seems like a big retrace. It could do that with a bit of profit taking, but I don't see a big drop. Right? What am I doing? Go back. Okay, so I'm looking at this being the 10th of June, where we're looking at the dollar index maybe consolidating at 105.30. All right, could retrace slightly, but we're looking for continuation higher to 105.60 resistance. Yeah, okay. There we go. Yeah, sure. Aussie yen and pound yen, we can do that. Right, so I'm looking at that sitting along this level, could retrace slightly, but looking for it to continue higher towards 105.60. If it breaks, then yeah, we could see a big move back down, but with the way the non-farm was, I think we might see that push back up. Now, with that in mind, I don't see many trades for today, right? Looking at the Kiwi first up, right? That played out. That would have played out nicely, but didn't push high enough. So I'll take that away. It did drop all the way down. Trend line is done. Take that away. Fib levels are done. Take that away. But you can see that it's staying still, or still staying above this support level. Right, still above this support level. I would like to see this consolidate along here and push down slightly to test this support level and hopefully break, not likely today, but maybe later on over the next couple of days, to break that support to the downside. I'll be looking at 106.65, stop loss 20, take profit 70 to the downside, but might take a little bit longer to play out. Right, might take a little bit longer to play out. I think it's more likely to consolidate than slowly break down. So not ready yet. I want to see, actually what I want to see is a reaction along the support, because you could also be looking to buy it up. If it bounces, for some reason, if you see dollar weakness come back into play, you could look at that 20 pip and then right back up to trade within that range. So Kiwi dollar at this point, we want to see a reaction along 6080. Okay, we're looking for reaction along at support of 0.6080. Yeah, okay. I'll look for that first. Just thinking now whether we could be looking for that. Whether we could be looking for that. So a retrace, 50 pip that way. So maybe a retrace, test and reject back down. That could work out. That could work out. That would mean that the dollar index is going to retrace a little bit more. It's already moving right now. I think that would be a good idea. Let's look for that. A test and reject of 6140. Okay, test and reject 0.6140. Then we're going to sell at 6130, 20 to 50 to the downside. 130, stop loss 20, take profit 50 to the downside. Yes, I like that one. Okay. Now, how's your workshop in Dubai? I didn't end up going to Dubai, Diana, so just because you say you want a holiday, so we postponed the session and waited for you to come back to town so that we can catch up at a workshop again. So now that you're back, we're going to plan the trip. All right. Okay, so Aussie didn't have that push up before rejecting because we saw dollar strength straight away. It broke that 61, take that away, but we do. I want to keep that as a reference point. Now it broke that double. I think it's going to look very similar to what we just saw or we're anticipating for the Kiwi. Is that it's pushing back up. I think that would be interesting here. That 50 is right at this point. Do you think that the dollar is going to weaken that much? That we could see this go back up to that 50% level? I'm not entirely convinced about that. As much as I would like to see that happen, I'm not entirely convinced about that. I think that we might see a smaller retrace on the Aussie. It might stay just below that 23.6 level. I think it will stay below. Yeah, I don't think today. I think it will stay below that point. Below 6.6. If it stays below 6.6, I'll be looking to sell down 6585. Tight stop, no more than 15 pips, and then 25. I don't like this. We have it there. Go to the next point down here. You could be looking for that. So if it stays below 6.6, we could look for that. Right? So test, consolidate, test, reject, or sit. So it could sit there. Oops. It could sit here, or it could test slightly and then push down and look for that. 6, 5, 8, 5, 15. You can do 20. 20 to 65 to the downside. 6585. It's also a test and reject, but we're looking to sell at 0.6585. Stop loss 20, take profit 65 to the downside. Rightio. Like that. And then on to the US yen. Was too optimistic, thinking that we're going to see that double top, break that neckline and head down. It pushed down slightly. This was before the news, or this was right after our session. Came right back up, and then it spiked up on the news release on Friday. We spoke about that already. Now that it is pushing up and looking for it to come back, that's done. We can take that one away. Those two circles are done, and that's done. Okay, I don't need that. But what I'm looking at now is that it's this reference point. This reference point, and I'll drag it right across because I'm looking at these points here. Right, it needs to stay above 156.50. Could retrace, but I'm looking for it to complete its retrace, ideally back down before pushing back up towards that resistance. Stay above 156.50. We're looking to buy it up. 156.75. Stop loss 30. Take profit, you have 60 towards that previous high. You could go all the way, but I think keeping it reasonable for now, I would look for that. Then if it comes towards that point, move to break even, pull that up to look for it to head higher. Okay? And why I'm looking at that, generally we're looking at the US yen just pushing a little bit higher, but still remaining within the range. Okay, so complete its retrace and look to buy it up. 156.75, 30 to 65. Right, so we're looking for it to complete retrace. Then we're looking to buy at 156.75, stop loss 30, take profit 65 to the upside. Then on to, oh wait, we've done Kiwi, we've done Aussie, that's fine. Yen, yes. If it does push us straight up, I would be tempted to get in if it pushes above that 157.50. Then you would have a 45 pip take profit. You have a very tight stop, no more than 20 that way. Right? If it doesn't retrace all the way, if it just sits there and pushes up, you could be looking for that. Then onto the pound dollar, that was straightforward to sell down on release of the news. We saw that as an alternate. What if the dollar weakened massively? Then it would have pushed up, but it didn't. It came right back down, broke that 50. I'm sure it broke that 61 as well. Take that away. Now keep that as a reference, but what you would notice is that that trend line is still somewhat intact. It's still somewhat intact as it shows a bit of a bounce here, well, bounce off these 2 points and then a bit of a bounce now. If the dollar weakens massively, could we look to buy the pound dollar up? I think that while it looks like a possible technical setup, it looks quite weak as an idea to buy it up. Looking at this, push back up, I don't like it. I would like to, in fact, just see it, wait it out. This is something I might wait it out, see it test, and then reject to sell back down. Yeah, it's just not worth, I don't think it's worth trying to get in at that point. 20 pips, that's only a 20. To make sense, it needs to go all the way back up here. I don't see that yet. So I'm looking for it to test and reject. It's all about today seems like it's retracement, and you guys know that I hate retracement days. It's just trying to guess, how far can it retrace by before it comes back down again. Not my favorite thing to do. UK elections. When are the UK elections, Matt? It's all about the elections. UK elections. Let's see, when is it? In July 4th. So might seem like, oh, it's coming, but it's not too crazy yet. I'll look for that test and reject. 1.2745, 20 to 60 to the downside. 4th of July, while the US are on a massive holiday, the UK. I don't think it'll be weak until then. Depending on, I think that what's funny to say is I think that the UK politics seems to have worked out after a lot of uncertainty. I think that we might actually see it work out quite nicely. That's what I'm actually thinking now. It's going to retrace. Yeah, so I think that, 4th of July is still almost a month, a bit less than a month away. Haven't heard too much about uncertainties coming from the election, so I'm not expecting it to be affecting it too much yet. Maybe as we draw closer. I'm looking at the pound. I want to see it drop, but I can't. I'm trying to figure out where is it trying to drop from. If it consolidates along this point, see that sitting there. I'm looking for it to drop. It's either okay. I'll keep to that. I'll keep to that point. Yeah, I used to love trading the I loved trading the UK, the referendum, the Scottish referendum, and then the Brexit, and then all the what was it? The tax introductions from one of the PM. She didn't last very long. I forgot what's her name. And then, yeah, all that. So one of my favorites, trading the UK politic elections. Okay, I'm looking for this. Okay, I digress, but let's get back to it. Looking for this to retrace, reject, sell back down. So I'm looking at 1.2745, 20 to 60 to the downside. Okay, looking to sell this down. I started to reminisce. 1.2745, 1.245, 20 to 60. Stop loss 20, take profit 60. Yeah, I traded with I love to trade when Nigel Farage was talking and Boris Johnson was going on as well. Okay, then on to the euro. It spiked up. Now I'm just going to leave it. I think that, let me just do something. Okay. Yeah, the trade is still running. I might close it out. We'll see how it goes. I'll let it run. Okay, so that trade, I'll take that away for now just to clear up the charts. Now it is pushed down, so we can take that one away. That is all done. That one's done as well. Take those levels away. Trend line is broken. Big trend line is broken and 61.8 is done. Right, now what we're looking at this point, a bit of a reference point here. Don't need this. Looking at the euro, looking like it might retrace back up slightly before pushing back down, or consolidate along here before pushing down. Wouldn't do anything yet until we see a reaction along that 1.0720 level, right? Because technically I want to see it break and then sell it down. That way, you know, tight stop, 20 pips, could go a massive drop to the downside. But I think a lot could happen between here and in this area. So I want to see what happens at 1.0720. Okay, euro, I want to look for reaction at 1.27, wait, not 1.27, 1.0720, 1.0720. There we go. Then onto the US Swiss franc, dollar strength resisted that move to the downside, pushed up, broke above 23.50 is in play, or it's coming towards being in play. Looking only for it to break above that 50% level. 9030, stop loss 30 pips, take profit 60, 70 to the upside, right? On dollar strength. So 9030, 30 to 70 to the upside. US Swiss franc, we're looking to buy it up 0.9030, 30 to 70. Stop loss 30, take profit 70 to the upside. Then onto the usdcad. Right, again, no big reaction from the Canadian employment number. It was overshadowed by the strength of the dollar, as we expected it to push to the upside, just that it did not retrace lower before pushing up. It just sat there in consolidation, and instead of pushing down before up, it just broke to the upside that way. Okay, so now that it's broken to the upside out of that consolidation, that trend line is done. Take that away, and that too. There's double bottoms are done. Now see it approaching that resistance. If we see further dollar strength, it's going to pull this up, drag it past that resistance straight forward. We're looking for continuation to the upside, 1.3790, stop loss 20, take profit 50 to the upside towards that previous swing high. Straightforward there, 1.3790, 20 to 50 to the upside, 1.3790, stop loss 20, take profit 50, was it 50? To the upside, yes. There we go. Okay, I know I have the questions for Aussie yen and pound yen. I'll get to that right after gold, because look what happened to gold, right? We talked about it. Gold to go down needs to stay below 23.85 to head down to 23.70 and 23.50. It went way past that. It got to 23.50. It got to 23.38. It got to 23.18. Broke all of that, and it came right back down to this support level here of, oops, take that away, of 22.90. Right, 22.90, and it's bouncing, it's consolidating with a slight bounce. I don't see this staging any, we don't need any of that. I don't see this staging any massive recovery, especially if the dollar does continue to strengthen. Okay, so take all of that away for now. It's all done. So we take all that off. Now sitting at this support, what needs to happen is we'll see it consolidate, but it needs to break that support before we could see further downside. But given what has happened here, how it stayed above this support level, I might actually be quite tempted, or I'm actually a bit tempted to think that it's going to stay above this support. So gold, I think it could consolidate. Okay, gold, I think that it could consolidate here. Maybe a brief retrace before coming back down. I don't see that happening today. I think that we might see it drop that way. We might see it drop that way on Thursday with the FOMC rate decision. But for now, I think we might see it sit there. Basically, it needs to stay below 23.15. Right, it needs to stay below 23.15 for any potential downside to resume. Okay, so needs to stay below 23.15 for bearish downside continuation. But I don't think it's happening soon. Strong support at 22.80. 22.80. There we go. Now with all that, then Aussie dollar sitting right there, looking like it's going to push back down a bit after consolidating, pushing down. So a bit of dollar Aussie weakness to come back into play. Yen is still sitting there. We're looking at this possibly pushing back up onto the Aussie yen, sitting in that area, or sitting in that level. Put this down here. How it's held this area, pushing. So Aussie weakness is going to push this back down. I wouldn't be looking at any buying opportunities unless it breaks above 104. Right, if it breaks above 104, then you're looking at that kind of move. Tight stop that way. But it looks like it's done this pattern where it's dropped, oops. Where it's dropped, retrace, dropped, retrace, lower, and likely to drop back down again. Okay, with a good support level around here as my support, and then the next one beyond that would be at about this point here. So what I would be looking at in this case on the Aussie yen, Aussie dollar, Aussie weakness to drag this down, but we could see some yen weakness to push it back up. So if it breaks lower, right, it's consolidating at this point here. If it breaks lower, you could look to sell it down about 103.35. Stop loss 30 pips. Take profit 50, 60 to the downside. I would be more tempted, well, you could look to sell it down, or be more tempted to either look for it to bounce off the support or to push down, and then, yeah, to look for that. I actually want to see that move. Right, you could trade it down. I would probably be more happy to wait for it to come down, bounce off that support, form a bit of a double bottom, and then push back up with that yen weakness dragging it up all the way. Okay, then on to the pound dollar. It is retracing. Look at that retrace. Looking for it to retrace, maybe to push back down again. Pound yen, because of the pound dollar retracing, what you could be looking out for, US yen is sitting there, pound dollar retracing, pound yen sitting at that level. I want to see it go up because of the pound dollar retracing, and yen maybe getting some weakness back later on. Above 200, you're looking at a 40 pip stop, maybe 45 pip stop, 69 or 70 pip take to the upside. So not a great risk to reward, 1.5, but looking for it to push, especially if it pushes past that previous high, right? And what you would probably notice is, wow, actually, that, no wait, take that away, that shoulder that way, no, I can't draw my head and shoulder like that. So that's a good neckline area that we want to see it break. So if it does form a pin bar at that resistance and form that above and break to the upside, you could see this push up that way. Okay, so something to watch out for. That's a good spot. I'm thinking there's a good spot for the pound yen. Okay, I'll try that out later. There is a tool to draw head and shoulders on TradingView. I'll try that out. I like scribble. Don't you guys like my scribbles? How I'm making look like I'm making stuff up by scribbling away. Okay, so I'm looking at that on the pound yen. I'm just having fun, guys. Then onto the Aussie dollar on the H4 time frame. A little bounce at 38.2. Wait, what are you talking about? Let me see. It's not that one, right? I don't think you're talking about that move. Oh, there we go, 38.2. It does have a bit of that. Possibly. I think that it is, dollar is retracing. We're looking at it feeling most likely now trying to fill that gap that we talked about. It needs to stay above that 105 level. So that's going to test. I think it could it's retracing. But yes, I do see that point there. Retracing. I think it's a bit weak. how it's in that area. So I think it's more about the area rather than just that level. So back to the H1, I would say that if it retraces, rejects that area, we could still look to that downside. So yes, H4 time frame bounce at 38.2 is happening now. Just needs it to stay below, at or below that 6.6 level. All right, so covered a lot of different pairs, talked a lot about the NFP, the European elections, the coming UK elections, the interest rate decision to come from the US on Thursday. I'm interested, super keen on the BOJ with their stance on Friday. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to eating some dumplings later on because it is a Dragon Boat Festival as well. Please remember, if you are going to be trading, not a lot of trades, it doesn't seem like we're looking at a lot of trades, a lot of retracement and consolidations for today. Please trade well, trade safe, and if you haven't already, do click that like and subscribe button. I will see you all on Discord. If not, then I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Take care now. Bye-bye.